If every Ivy League university read your file at the same time, which one would reject you first, right? Harvard, Yale, or Princeton? By the end of this video, you're going to know the answer. We are going to analyze 4 student profiles and discuss which universities accepted and which rejected them and why. And I'm going to explain what each college's personality represents. Closer your personal characteristics fit with the college's personality, the more likely you are to get accepted when you're looking at the top elite colleges. I'm Tina Chulette, founder of Blue Skies Consulting. I've seen what it really takes to get into the top 5 universities through my live coaching program. And my goal here is to help you understand that process from the inside out. Before we go into the rejections and admissions of our 4 students, let's set the context. We'll talk about fit, yield, and culture. Okay. If you're short on time, fast forward to the admissions decisions, which you can find in the chapters. Yield rate is the percentage of admitted students who actually enroll. So Harvard's yield is 80 to 85%. So that means if they accept 100 students, 85 show up. Cornell, on the other hand, is closer to 50%. That means 1 out of every 2 students admitted says, "No thanks," and half the students walk away. The brand, in that case, stops feeling as elite, although it's an Ivy League. What do colleges do so that they don't fall into this trap? They protect their yield by admitting students who are likely to choose them back, right? Because if you have a 50% versus an 85%, it changes the prestige. A strong yield makes a school look desirable, stable, and therefore it affects their ranking. Here's the real story. So if 50,000 students apply to a single Ivy every year, and most of them also apply to all the other top 15 schools, plus Stanford, plus MIT, because with the Common App, it's really easy to apply to 1 extra school. But at the end of the day, you might have applied to 10 top tier schools, but you can pick 1. So when your admissions officer looks at you and thinks, this student could get into MIT, they're gonna assume MIT is going to become your first choice because they know 85% of kids say yes to MIT, right? If they admit you, you're probably going to say no, and that makes their yield fall. So what happens? They reject you. Not because you're not strong, but because you just don't look like somebody who's going to say yes back to them. In other words, fit is often admissions speak for, yes, we think you're going to choose us back, so we are going to accept you. All of this will really click when you see those examples, okay? So stay with me. In this video, we're gonna look at those students who get accepted and we're gonna talk about why. Make sure you watch all the cases because that's when you're really gonna start seeing the patterns that are behind these Ivy League decisions. So what is each Ivy League's fit playbook? Harvard is the multiplier. They want someone who makes everyone around them better and who leads to the fullest. Yale is the independent thinker, voice-driven, curious, self-propelled. Princeton, they look for the specialist, deep mastery, consistency, they like discipline. Columbia is the driver. They're in NYU, they thrive on chaos, they want to move fast, right? Brown is the creator. They have an open curriculum, they're unconventional, exploratory, they're tolerant of people who take risks, right? Penn is the builder, practical, systems thinker, outcome focused. Dartmouth is the connector, community-centered, loyal, cohesive. Cornell is the grinder, okay? Resilient, grounded, they like problem solvers. Every file that lands on the admissions officer desk is weighted against these criteria, okay? Or these cultures, or this personality. Princeton doesn't just admit smart kids. Everyone applying is smart. Princeton admits the type of smart that fits its brand. So if Princeton fills its class with people who are chaotic and not disciplined, the school's culture is going to shift. And that's going to change the brand that the next year applicants are drawn to, right? So it has to pick people who fit its current brand. All right, so now that you guys understand why fit protects an Ivy League's brand, hopefully it makes a lot more sense conceptually on why you may get rejected even if you're the perfect candidate on paper. But regardless, I want to go into the meaty part of this video. Let's look at the real admissions decisions of our 4 students. So we're going to play a little game and we're going to analyze the profiles of these 4 students. I'm going to tell you which colleges accepted them and which colleges rejected them. Okay, ready? So student A here, let's call him the visionary. Student A runs 3 startups. They lead every club. They're always building and growing something, right? It's a confident, polished person who is wired for growth. Here's what's happening in the admissions room. Harvard says yes. Remember, Harvard's archetype is the multiplier, someone who makes everything around them better, right? They love students who create ripple effects wherever they go. Harvard wants the energy of someone who's already leading, the kind who walks onto campus and builds something. That's their brand. Leadership, scale, visibility, and this student A fits perfectly. Princeton hesitates. They say impressive, but is there any depth? Has she stayed long enough with one idea or is she jumping around? Princeton values mastery. They don't want someone who does not go deep. They get nervous around students who are spreading themselves too thin. Brown thinks about it, they pause. They like her spark, they like her independence, but then they say, is this genuine curiosity or resume inflation? Right? Brown's radar for authenticity is sharp. They'll pass if it feels too packaged, right? If a student doesn't value authenticity, then they're not sure if they're going to be particularly drawn to Brown. Plus, if they think Harvard's going to accept her, remember, they know she'll choose Harvard, and that is a yield risk. That means they'll pass. Partially because they had some doubts about her profile, but also because she doesn't look like she's going to say yes back. So even though the same file walked in the door across these 3 schools, it reads differently at every table. Here we go, student B. Student B is quiet, reflective, writes about philosophy and ethics on multiple national publications. Yale says yes, they love that independent voice, someone who thinks in original patterns. Yale's culture prizes intellectual identity over polish, and they're building a class of thinkers who will debate ideas at 2 a.m., not just chase awards. Columbia hesitates. They say, this is a really smart kid, but can he handle the pace? Columbia has that New York energy. Fast, practical, relentless. They like thinkers, but they prefer somebody who turns thought into real action and impact. Penn says, where is the measurable outcome? Penn loves execution, right? They want to see how ideas become results. They respect this person's intellect, but without tangible impact, it feels a little incomplete. So again, same student, same brain, 3 different reactions. Everybody is looking for fit. Student C is the builder. Student C is all about execution. They build a civic app, they grow it to real users, maybe they even raise funds, right? Everything is about results, metrics, proof. Penn says yes, 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 right? This is their language. Strategy, structure, systems. They want people who turn ideas into deliverables. And Penn's brand is the student who builds things before they graduate. Cornell also says yes. They like grounded problem solvers, people who make practical improvements, not just theoretical ones, right? If you've built and tested something, Cornell feels like this is perfect for me. But again, your profile is so strong that if Penn and Yale are saying yes, you might not accept them back. And remember, Cornell already has an issue where just 50% of them accept their offer. So they need to be really careful. Let's talk about Yale. Yale will say yes, but where is the reflection? What did he learn? Because Yale doesn't just look for impact, right? So they really want the intellectual thinker. And if you're not demonstrating that, they're not convinced it's a fit. So once again, fit matters, yield matters, and it is not random, right? Yes, your academics, your extracurriculars, your teacher recommendations, these are all going to be part of your primary filter. But when they have to make those final offers, the schools think about fit, they think about yield. Every school is picking the students who sound like they belong in that university. Here's our last and final student, okay? Student D is the glue of every group she joins. She's the captain of debate, she's the MUN chair, she's the event organizer. She's always bringing together people, ideas. Dartmouth says yes, they love students who build community, people who strengthen the fabric of a small campus. They want warmth, loyalty, belonging, and that's what this candidate radiates. Brown says yes too. They appreciate empathy, collaboration. It's someone who leads by connecting, not commanding, and she really fits Brown's culture of cooperative learning, open exchange. Harvard hesitates. They say, we have a lot of student leaders. Is she redefining leadership in any way? They admire her, but they're really looking for somebody who's very rare, right? So what do we learn, guys, from these 4 students and the admissions decisions? Finally, not just about who's impressive, right? When it comes to elite colleges, because they also have to maintain their rankings. So it's about who fits into the personality the school is showcasing. Again, Harvard is the multiplier, They want somebody who makes everything better. Yale likes the independent thinker, voice-driven, curious, self-propelled. Princeton values the specialist, deep mastery, consistency, discipline. Columbia is the driver. They like people who can move in chaos. Brown is the creator, unconventional, risk tolerant. Penn is the builder, practical systems, outcome focused. And Dartmouth is the connector, right? Community centered. Finally, we have Cornell, resilient, grounded, and a problem solver. Each brand needs to remain consistent to attract the next generation of students who's going to maintain its culture. Because if students enroll happily, yield stays high and rankings stay high, and that's ultimately what these schools truly care about. So let's zoom out, right? When you understand FIT, you understand one of the key decision factors for elite admission. By the way, I have another video that goes through the details of acceptance rates, SAT scores, etc. Check it out in the link. Remember, if colleges are looking for FIT, what does that mean for you? It means stop trying to be everyone's favorite, start becoming one school's unmistakable fit, and that's how you're going to stop blending in. Because at the end of the day, the rules never change. FIT matters because it ensures yield, rankings, brand consistency. So FIT is finally what gets you into elite US colleges.